my name is Ronnie Wiley, and welcome to another edition of On the Spot. To my left, this is family. It's my niece, Patricia Buhrow, and her son, Caleb Buhrow. Welcome to the show. Now, people are probably thinking, that's your son? So before we get into that, Tricia, tell me, you started in foster care, and you're only 24 years
24, old. Yeah. Well, we was 21 when we got our first foster son, and we actually wanted to do fostering as soon as we got married. That was something that
And who's your husband?
Luke Buhrow.
Luke Buhrow, yeah. We want to mention that. I know who he is.
Him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was something we wanted to do, but you had to be 21 to, in the state of Indiana, to be a legal foster parent. So fostering kind of mom whenever she took in Frankie years ago. So it was something that was instilled in me since a child, and also grandma and grandpa being in the orphanage.
Yeah.
That was always something that I felt like God had called me to do. I always felt like I grew up in church my entire life. I always felt like I didn't do anything. I never sang. My brothers did. I never did anything like in the ministry. And I remember I was praying and I was like, Lord, what do you want me to do? I didn't know. I just didn't feel any calling, like, per se, in the church.
Right.
But I remember my Aunt Patricia, whom I'm named after, she started fostering, and I started watching how those kids come to church and just how she was changing their life and the impact she was doing. And it was something I was very interested in. I didn't know how my husband would feel about it. I talked to him about it, and he was on board. We had our biological daughter, Maya, who was just a baby at the time. And by the time we got our license and everything, she was 1. And it was definitely the best thing we ever did.
So that was 2018. And by the way, your mother is my older sister. Actually, she's much younger. But anyway, so your mom got in first. She was there a couple years prior to that, correct?
Right.
While you were still living at home when you and Luke were dating. Did you guys talk about it when you were dating, or was it only after you got married?
No, it was only after we got married. The main reason, I'd say, when I was still at home was watching whenever the boy that my mom and dad had for years, watching him leave, I seen how my mom grieved. Yeah. And I thought, that's something I would never want to do. I couldn't see myself doing that. I thought I would get too attached, which you do. Right. But I definitely, once I felt like God definitely showed that to me through my aunt, showed me that, you can do that. That's your calling. I want you to do that. And I'm so glad we did, because when you become a foster parent, they have a thing called like a bridge path to adoption. Do you want to do foster to adopt? Well, that was something we were like, no, we will never adopt. We just want to foster. That's not what we want to do. Well, we were wrong. Two kids later, we April 28th of this year, we adopted Gracie and Caleb.
Gracie's over there. You'll get introduced to Gracie in a minute. Caleb, I don't want to use the word lucky, but at the same time, I'm sure you feel that way, because we've talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to, explain it. It's just, this home's just, I don't know.
It was made for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because now you got to...
Because, compared to, other homes, this one, it's just, it's home now.
Yeah. And how many homes were you in before?
3, I believe. Yeah.
And as you mentioned, Tricia, my mom and dad, your mom's mom and dad, your grandma and grandpa, they grew up in the Ohio Soldiers and Sailors Orphans Home, where once they were there, they were there. They didn't get to go around. And so, we see from a different perspective where you got to go to different homes. And it's hard to attach yourself to people knowing that you're going to possibly leave, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when you were there with Tricia and Luke, I'm sure you felt that same way. Tell us how you felt when you were placed with them.
Honestly, it just, it felt like we were going to leave at first, and then whenever we were there, after a while, I was like, man, this really feels like family. And then we were just, I don't know, it all just fit in.
And I'm sure it was good that you had your biological sister, Gracie, with you as well. Tricia, when you and Luke started talking about this when you guys got married back in 2017. Was there any discrepancy about your age? Because you were just,
Yes.
you were 18.
No, I was
Or no,
19, 20. I was 20.
Yeah, you were 20. Sorry, yeah, I had to add.
I had to think about it,
Yeah.
too. It feels like
So you were 20 when you got
20.
married. So was there any like, okay, you guys are way too young?
Yeah, and we've heard that from a lot of people. A lot of people will say, like, well, don't you want kids of your own? I've heard that a lot of times. And I've heard, oh, well, how are you going to do that? It's going to be too hard and you're too young. Because when we first started fostering, they ask you, like, the age group you want. And I thought, well, let's not do teenagers because we're too young and they won't respect us. And I just thought about all those different things. And I actually was on there for the age of, I think, newborn to 10. That was our age group. And I got a phone call one day, and it was for Caleb and Gracie. And he had just turned 12. And I thought, well, I was like, that's too old. I'm 21. I was 21. I'm 21. It's like we're like 9 years apart.
Right.
I didn't think it would be a good fit. Well, they actually didn't want to split. There was 3 siblings. They didn't want to. I won't go fully into the story, but they didn't want to split them all
Right,
up.
sure.
So my mom decided to take their older sister Bella, who was 16 at the time, I believe. So she went with mom and dad, and I said yes. Me and Luke said yeah to Gracie and Caleb. And when he came into our home, I'll never forget the night he came into our home, and he was just special. There was just something there, and Gracie was too. I mean, she was barely 4. She was so young and little, and she was scared, and she didn't really know where she was at. She was going through a lot of problems. She was losing her hair. She was very malnutrition. She was just needing a safe place to call home.
Yeah.
And so me and Caleb, I remember the night, I don't know if you remember this, we went out on the porch, and we just talked forever.
And that's when you lived at your old
house. Yeah, we sat and talked forever, and I thought, man, he is such a good kid. And I just felt like he was just so open to me about his past and like all these things he had been through and the hurt and, you know, not
at
having
12.
At 12, yeah, not having mom and dad in his life ever. And some of the stories he would tell would just break your heart. And I thought, man, I really hope we can help him. And as time went on, I really was so leery about adoption. They had brought it up because they were like, mom and dad are going to be TPR'd. Is this something that you want to do? We need to know now. And I thought, well, I just didn't know at the time. I'm going to be completely honest because of my age. I thought, well, you know, I feared what people was going to say
Right.
and all these things. You know, here I am going to sign him up in high school this year.
Right, yeah, you just got out.
I just got out.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, you know, what are people going to say? And it was funny because Luke came to me and he was like, what did you think about adopting them? And I said, well,
So Luke brought it up.
Luke brought it up. I said, well, we said we would never adopt. And this is so bad of me, but I thought, well, I could see myself adopting Gracie, but I couldn't imagine life without Caleb. And so that's when I knew. I was like, if they were to leave, our family would be so destroyed, incomplete. Maya, I mean, Gracie already called me mom. Caleb already called me mom. I mean, it was just, I remember when he came to me and asked, is it okay if I call you mom? And at first I was like, sure. But yeah, it's definitely, I'm so glad we said yes. And I looked past the age. I looked past all of that.
I think it's funny.
It is
I
funny.
love it.
It's comical.
Because I remember that Facebook post you had a couple of, and I was like, yeah, your son was 10 at that time or something when you were 20. But you know, hearing her say that, Caleb, that if he would have left, our family would have been destroyed. How does that make you feel? I mean, you feel love.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It just.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere. And you know, it's not just. I mean, you got acclimated with. You know, she's got 4 other siblings. Mm-hmm. You know, your uncle Kevin, who's
the same age as him.
The same age as you.
Literally,
of course, that's like your dad. You know, your dad has aunts and uncles that are older than him. Debbie and Merle Seeley are her parents. So I mean, you got acclimated into this family fairly quickly. Started playing sports. Everybody, did you get introduced to sports prior to this?
Not really. No, I've never really been into like sports or anything like that. I'd play basketball like outside or whatever, but like I've never really been like on a team. Mm-hmm. And then whenever we came here, it just, I got onto the team, and then it, like, there was, like, a love on the team. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
So, so you're saying that you've experienced things that you've never experienced prior to coming here. How quick was it for you to realize, I think I want to stay here. I don't think I want to leave.
Honestly, I realized that I, like, really wanted to stay there, like, pretty much whenever we got there. It just...
After that conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember after I told her, like, all those stories, I was like, wow.
You felt the relief? Like pressure came off of you?
Yeah.
And then you got to meet me.
Yeah.
Your Uncle Ron.
Yeah.
That sealed the deal, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So you're having these feelings like, maybe I want to stay, but were you sure how your mom and dad, how they felt about it? Were you sure how they felt about it at the time? Were you afraid to bring it up? Walk us through that.
I didn't know, like, how to bring it up. I don't know. I know that I really wanted to stay, and then I was like, it just...
You just kept asking, like,
Yeah.
do I have to leave? Or, when will I have to leave? And I knew that he didn't want to leave, and it was hard because you never know. Even if at the time we wanted to adopt, there was always that what if, mom could do good, dad could do good, things could go back. And so we were always kind of fearful of that, but we just left it in the Lord's hands. And then one day, I remember when we actually told you we were going to adopt you, I remember how excited he was, and he just started crying, and it was very special. He was so thankful, and just knowing that he never had to leave, especially with Gracie, because we would take other fosters in and out, and when they would leave, she'd think, well, when do I have to leave? Yeah. So now that she's actually adopted, I can tell a huge change in her, because she was always fearful of leaving.
You ain't leaving.
Yeah, no, she's
not leaving, honey.
She actually went to school last year, and I woke up the first day of school, got her ready, put her on the bus, and I got a phone call. I went inside, and they called me, and I was like, hello? And they said, did you send her real name was Trinity, and they said, did you send Trinity to school today? And I said, yeah, I just put her on the bus. Why? And they said, well, she's not here. I thought, oh my gosh, the worst thing was going through my head. She got off the bus and just tried to walk home while these things was going on. I said, are you sure? And they said, no, she's not here. Her teacher marked her absent. We went down there. I was like, oh my goodness. So I stopped. I called my mom, and my mom was like, well, that's weird. About the time I hung up with Mom, the principal called me, and she said, do you happen to know a Grace Buhrow? And I was like, yes. And she said, well, she's going by that name, and that's not her real name. I said, well, she thinks that's her name. So she was already claiming that she was a Buhrow. So
yeah, she's like, I'm staying whether you guys, like her. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Caleb, I know during some of the basketball games, you went by the Buhrow name before it became official. She talked about the age, that was a concern. Like, she's only, when she turns 25 here in November, she'll be 10 years. But still, there's a 9.5-year age gap. And I know it's probably different from your age looking up than it is from her age looking down. So it's a huge gap for you. But did that concern you? Because Luke's 25 and your dad. So did that concern you at all?
No. I think it's cool.
I do too.
I don't know.
I think it's the coolest thing ever.
It's just,
yeah. It's like you can be a grandma before you turn 30.
I know. That's what we were just talking about last night. I was like, can we make a contract where you wait to have children?
Because you'll be 21, you'll be just hitting 30. You'll be an old 30.
Grandma.
You'll be a fossil. So that never crossed your mind at all.
No.
So what did you think? Again, you got introduced to this. We're a wacky, crazy, fun family. She's got 4 siblings. 2 of them are your age and younger.
Yeah.
And they're active. They do everything.
Right.
Was it a hard adjustment, or was it like, okay, this is cool?
I remember the first night that we got there. I was playing video games with Kevin, and then we were laying in bed, and then we were like, we're gonna play wolf ball tomorrow. And it just, we were always doing stuff.
Yeah.
and he feels like a brother to me.
And now you're playing. Now you play euchre.
Yeah.
My aunts and uncles we play euchre all the time, and now you're a big euchre fan. You're officially part of the family.
Well, talking about sports, I think you were at our house for 4 or 5 days, and Luke wanted him to start playing baseball, and Luke was out throwing the ball with him.
Oh, gosh.
I was cooking dinner. All of a sudden, Caleb comes in. I was like, "Oh no!" He said, "He hit me in the nose with the softball." And oh yeah, he hit him in the nose. So we took him to the hospital and he broke his nose.
Well, you missed it?
Yeah.
We don't talk about it.
Oh, that's
His
funny.
his eyes were very bad, and we didn't know that. We took him to the eye doctor, and
That's right. Where's your glasses at? I forget. Are you wearing contacts now?
Yeah.
Gosh, I wish I could wear them. So that's right. You have those bottle. So again, I remember first meeting you at the family, and I would always talk to your mom about adoption, like and what amazed me about you, Caleb, was that knowing your past, knowing your history, you're well adjusted. You've appreciate where you're at. And that's something that a lot of people don't have. It's easy to when you got to this place, when you got with Tricia and Luke, your mom and dad, when you got with them, did all the past fade away? Like all the past hurts kind of fade away?
Like the past was there, but it never really bothered me.
Yeah. This was it.
He was in therapy, and he would come to me all the time and be like, "I don't need it. I feel like I don't need it." And it was something that was required at DCS. And once he became adopted, we discussed, he's like, "I don't want it. I don't want to do therapy. I don't need it." So we dropped it. And honestly, since day one, if he ever had anything from his past that bothered him, he always talked to me and Luke about it. He never held anything in. He's a super great kid. And that's from the beginning. We just knew, like, he wanted to be, I always said at the beginning, he wanted to be loved. He wanted to be accepted. What can I do? He would do the dishes without being asked. Anytime we'd have money, he'd try to buy me something or just try to buy my love. And I finally one day told him, I'm like, "Caleb, we love you. Like, you don't have to go above and beyond. You're not going anywhere. We love you. We consider you our son." And he's kind of eased up a little bit on that. So
yeah, you mystified.
Yeah.
So you wanted to be loved, but you also wanted to love. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you start. How is it? I mean, how important was it for you to have your little sister with you?
It was.
Gracie?
It made it a lot easier. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's over there. We're going to bring you over here, and she's over there chomping at the bits. We know Maya, your biological daughter. Of course, she's young. She'll be 4 in December.
Right.
Can't believe that. And you would never know.
No,
you would never know that those two aren't biological.
No. Yeah.
And of course, her being so young, she's never going to know him any other way.
Right. She won't.
And so you come into this family now with an even younger sister. How was that?
She feels no different than Grace did.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have to, your mom got all over me saying, we better mention, I got her in the fight.
Yeah, mom was a huge part of it. And she was definitely one who encouraged me with the adoption, because you always worry, like, how is your family going to accept it? Because they're going to be getting 2 new grandkids in their life. It's going to be permanent. And then my brothers and sisters are going to have new niece and nephew. And everybody's been so accepting. My parents treat them like their own. They just went camping with them this weekend. And if they buy for Maya, they buy for Grace and Caleb. There's never been a difference there, and it's wonderful.
What I've found amazing is that you always match the girls.
I do.
Yeah,
every day. They are matching right now. They're together.
Yeah, and so is that something? Do they? Have you ever not matched them?
Yeah.
And how do they respond?
So Maya's getting to where she wants to pick her own outfits out, and so yeah.
At 3?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's over.
It's over. I know.
Yeah, it's over. What about Gracie? Is she?
She goes along with it. She likes it.
Does she ever not dress like her sister?
No,
do they want to?
They dress all the time.
They want to dress together all the time. They want to wear the same outfits.
Yep.
I wonder if that will ever end. That's going to be awesome to witness.
They're getting really close, and like this morning, she had on Maya's dress and Maya had on hers. We do it all the time. So.
Well, it's funny how she really has embraced the big sister role.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and now you're the older sibling, but you talked about Kevin, like he's more like a brother to you, and you guys are, pretty much inseparable.
Mm-hmm.
How easy was it for you to latch on to Debbie and Merle, your grandma and grandpa? Now, how was it easy to latch on to them? Because you're in Trish and Luke's house, so
Yeah.
how easy was it for them?
It just felt natural. Like they were just always there, and they always had the grandparents role that they played, and I felt like their grandson. I don't.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? Yeah. So if you can, again, not everybody unfortunately gets this lucky.
Right.
Not everybody gets this lucky. And again, I come from where my mom and dad grew up in an orphanage, so that's where it's like, okay, they got 3 meals a day, they got to play an instrument they wanted to, they got to learn a trade, they got educated, they played sports. I mean, this was all in one setting. So I've got aunts and uncles and your mom has aunts and uncles that aren't really our blood related, but they are.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and we did that's our family, and of various colors too, various races. Do you think that and again, you mentioned about your mom and your mom being your grandma and grandpa being in an orphanage. When was your first time that did you think about being in a foster family? I know you talked about church, but how old exactly were you?
Oh goodness, this was whenever I truly felt like I was needing a calling in my life, not just to make a difference, but for myself. I felt like I need to do something. This was before Maya was born, definitely. I was probably about 19 whenever I truly felt, I know Grandma was still alive, and I, to this day, wish that she could have met Grace and Caleb and seen what we were doing. Yeah.
My mom.
She would have loved it. Yeah. And so definitely just hearing all her stories growing up, and, I just think she would be so proud, and I'm not boasting, but I'm saying, like, it's something that I feel like, it was just meant to happen, like with the way that Grandma was in the orphanage, and then Grandpa as well was in the orphanage, and just, a lot of kids in foster care sadly go from a bad situation to an even worse in foster care. I mean, foster care can be a good thing, but then sadly there's some people that don't do it for the right reasons, and these kids, they ran into that situation where they were in a foster home where it was worse than the situation they were in, before they were removed. And it's really sad. And so to gain the trust in the kids, let them know, hey, we are doing this because we love you guys. We're doing this because we want to make a difference. And just kind of building that wall up and letting them know, hey, we're here for you. Because we've had kids that they're scared of foster homes because I've had multiple children where they've been locked in rooms from foster parents, and just terrible things that has happened. And, foster care, I feel like that's where God placed me, because he knew that I could make a difference. And I guess.
And not just the difference in Caleb and Gracie's life, but the impact it's made on yours.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I feel like people will say, you guys thank you for what you do. And I feel like, I'm just thankful for them. I feel like they have completed us, and I feel like that was just a missing piece of our family, and I'm so thankful we said yes, and we didn't drop the adoption and be like no. And I heard from people that I love say, like, are you sure that's what you want to do? And just hurtful comments.
I never said that. I wanted you to. I was like, adopt these kids.
And it's sad, because I thought, well, if we don't do it, then who would? Where would they go? And that would be on me. And so.
Caleb, she mentioned about gaining your trust. And you had been in some bad situations prior.
Yeah.
And we talked about, you said it was pretty easy going in, but when you got the call that, hey, we're going to move you to this house, I mean, before you met them, were you like, oh, geez, I hope it's better.
I just.
Tell them what you said about my name when you heard my name.
Oh.
They said you're going to Patricia's house.
Yeah, so I thought that she was Debbie.
He thought I was going to be old.
Yeah.
Said, that's an old name.
I thought she was, because,
you thought was
I thought she was, I was
well,
like.
Debbie is old. She does look older.
Yeah, I thought that she was like 50-something.
Well,
Yeah,
she
but-
looks it. So
He said the caseworker was like, Patricia, I
Patricia
hope
said-
she's not really old.
Yeah.
They were like, no, it's the total opposite.
So when you see that she's not quite much older than you, I mean, you're like, okay, this is.
It,
She don't know what she's doing, or I'm gonna have one up on him. I'm gonna fool him, And then you see Luke. Did he have his bushy beard then? I mean,
Probably not. I don't know. I don't remember.
Because he looks much younger with
I don't
us.
think so.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
But they hit it off. Like, I mean, he was missing that role in
Well,
his
he's
life.
more mature. So yeah, no, I shouldn't say that.
Wow.
Yeah,
No, Luke,
some days.
no, Luke's a hard worker. He's he's a good guy, good man, very good man. So you thought her name Patricia was because like an old name?
I thought it, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to be like an old lady.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So before we wrap up here, we got about 3.5 minutes to go before we wrap up. If you could give words of advice for anybody who's contemplating getting into foster kids, what advice would that be?
I would say just do it. I went back and forth between, I mean, when you first start, it's like you don't know what type of kid you're going to get.
Right.
And I would say don't expect a perfect kid because you're not going to get that. These
Right.
kids have been traumatized, they've been hurt, but then also you're there to make a difference. And if you're seriously considering it, I say do it. You won't regret it. The worst thing you can do is help a child. And
Oh yeah, that's
so, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
if you feel like you're called to do that, then do it. There's so many kids out there you wouldn't believe. Just today, I've had 4 phone calls, literally.
Wow.
Within, 4:30 in the morning, I had a phone call for a kid. So there's so many homes, and unfortunately, when you have so many children, you can't take any more in. So
Right.
that's when I say, if you feel it, just do it.
And I really have never had a conversation with your mother about why she got into
Right.
it, but knowing her the way I do, it's the same thing. She wanted to
Right.
help people. She wanted to help kids, and again, it's hard to not get attached
Oh, yeah.
to them. And I wouldn't expect anybody to not. I think
Right.
that's the
Yeah.
heart of it, a servant's heart, to get attached. And I bet, Caleb, you're sitting there over there going, I'm glad that they did. And you can hold up a birth certificate saying, hey, your
Yeah.
name's on this. I ain't going nowhere.
Right.
On that. Gracie, get over here real quick. We're going to get you on here. We got a couple minutes to go. Come on over. Now, don't fall. Don't come over here. Sit by your mother. We're going to have you wave. And just tell everybody hi and
You say hi.
say, I'm Gracie. And that's their daughter. And just a wonderful addition to the family. I'm great Uncle Ronnie now. And I've always been great,
Well,
but
yeah.
it's
Sure.
even more so. But
Sure.
you guys, I'm proud of you. More
you.
proud than you'll ever know. Glad to have you guys a part of the family. It's like you've always been.
Right, yeah.
Again, Caleb, do you have any last words that you would like to say to anybody who may be in the same position that you're in?
Honestly, if you do get put into a home, just trust in God and see what He can do.
That's it. That's good advice. All right. Well, let's all wave it. Now, you got to remember, you said you got to smile pretty. Got to smile pretty. Wave at that
So
camera.
wave.
Wave at that
Say
camera.
bye.
And we'll catch you next month on the spot.